sometime during the J.J. Mills administration, NDC held a rally or a congress in Tamale. Flight Lieutenant Rawlings, as former president, attended. In his usual outburst, he discussed something called Ato Ahwoi. Ato Mills was the president. Rawlings said he knew some mortuary man in, thank you, that's Rawlings' photograph. Rawlings said he knew some mortuary man in somewhere, and that he likened Ato Ahwoi to President Mills. Admittedly, it was not in very good taste. The NDC had to respond to their own founder, and this is the beginning of creating young people with acidic tongues who speak, such that we now have the video today. We show you Flight Lieutenant Rawlings came and made a clear comparison between his party people and the party in opposition and talked about it. Ato Ahwoi, in writing his book, Let Out the Cat, he told us how they created young men to insult people. The book is entitled Working with Rawlings. It's by Kwame Ahwoi. And on pages 2010 and 2011, this is the story. With your permission, viewers, let me read it so you see where this is coming from. So when we are addressing a national ethos problem, we can talk about it. A political party that has potential of governing our country should not be seized with people who are destroying the ethos and the soul of our country by insulting older people. Somebody says in America, he insults Asante, he insults everybody, and NDC will give him protection. NDC. Well, let's see. On the Friday evening after the Tamale Congress, President Mills called me on the phone. I was attending, this is Ato Ahwoi speaking. I was attending an IAA-sponsored workshop at a brewery in the Eastern region. President Mills asked me whether I had heard the things that Rawlings had said about him to the smaller group of NDC loyalists that he had met in Tamale after the Congress. When I replied in a negative, he said, Kwamina, then try and get the audio and listen to it. I have been humiliated enough. I can't take it anymore, so I have decided to resign as president. I have already started packing my things. Don't try to talk me out of this because my mind is made up. I am only telling you out of respect because you were the one who got me into this in the first place. I panicked, Kwame Ahwoi said, but I responded in a calm tone. Please, Mr. President, I am sure if you didn't want me to talk you out of it, you would not have called me. I would have heard about your resignation on air. I believe you that you have decided to resign, but I am sure you are not sure you are doing the right thing, so you want a second opinion. Please let me consult with my gang, he called them, and get back to you. He agreed. So Mills was naturally worried about this. So this is the creation and the beginning of creating people to insult adults in Ghanaian politics. Kwame Ahwoi. All right, let's move on. I immediately called Captain Retired Kojo Chikata and briefed him about my conversation with President Mills. We agreed that we needed to meet with President Mills urgently and that I should rope Kofi Totobi Kwache into the meeting. After consulting with Totobi Kwache, I managed to get President Mills to agree to a meeting with the three of us on Sunday evening. Come Sunday evening, and we were at the castle around 6 o'clock p.m. as agreed. There was every sign that President Mills had indeed decided to resign. He had packed many of his belongings in suitcases and card boxes, and many others were strewn on the seat in the hall, ready for packing. We must have spent about 4 hours with President Mills. In the end, he agreed not to resign, and we agreed to take steps to ensure that Rawlings stopped his public humiliation of President Mills or reduced it significantly. The strategy we adopted, viewers, this is the catch. The strategy we adopted to achieve this objective was simple. From our knowledge of President Rawlings, we knew that he could not stand being talked back to by people he considered his subordinates. This must have been due to his military background, because in the military, the subordinates never talk back to superior officers. So what we decided was that anytime President Rawlings attacked or insulted Mills publicly, viewers, please listen, one of the younger members of the party will take him on publicly, not with insults, but with logic. That's a lie. It is with insults. It's not with any logic. Professor Kwame Ahwoi, let's get this straight. It was not logic. It's insults. It worked, he said. and the strategy proved effective. Rawlings toned down on his public criticism of President Mills. That wasn't quite true. Rawlings didn't tone down anything. Instead, he turned his anger on the young boys and girls who were talking back at him whenever he criticized President Mills publicly. He described them at a public rally later as babies with sharp teeth. The name stuck, but the presidency of Professor Mills was saved. This is Kwame Ahwoi's account. Is there more? This is Kwame Ahwoi's account of how he and Totobi Kwache created young people to talk back at Rawlings, violating what he called a principle of leadership that Rawlings had carried over from the military. The military institution is the oldest institution of politics from the time of Abraham. The military, the war military of Israel, they are the oldest institution of politics, protecting the king. Now, the disciplinary ethos of the military is what has kept militaries for 6,000 years. Militaries were fighting before Jesus was born. For 6,000 years, the ethos of the military have been the same. They form as platoons, they form as companies, they form as brigade. They were doing that 6,000 years ago. So if there's anything to admire about the military, it is the hierarchy of command and the fact that the institution works in unison, leadership at the top, and we follow leadership. Discipline is insisted and discipline is handed down. That's the ethos of the military. Kwame Ahwoi here is admitting that they decided to overturn the ethos of the military so that they will get Rawlings to shut up. And to do that, you have to upset the order. Get young people to insult him. And then, this is what they created, and he called that saving Professor Mills' presidency. But that's where the NDC came from. This is the background of Mary Awusi. That's why Mary Awusi is confident, because she has been called by somebody and said that, look, that Nyamiche guy, deal with him. They don't know that Ghana has changed. They don't know that Ghanaians love the respect. They don't know that Ghanaians love the serenity of our society. They don't know. They don't know because they have won elections by insulting older people. Mary Awusi was there when Ablakwa was insulting people. Ablakwa was made a foreign minister. She wants to be a foreign minister tomorrow. She will insult Eric Nyamiche. Look at them. Look at them. All of them heavily appointed. What do you remember them for? Insults. What do you remember them for? Insulting people. That's all. What do you remember these faces for? In the campaign. Insulting people. That is what they are. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Today you go on social media and you see that 80% of the account is playing back videos of these young men. Have you seen them playing back video of Lordina Mahama? Have you seen them playing back video of Amako Fibua? Have you seen them playing back any video of Julius Debra? No. Look at these men. The videos are them. All the time is them. Because they were told by Kwame Ahwoi and Totobi Kwache that go after Rawlings. And the way you need to get Rawlings is that you see in the military, junior people cannot talk back to senior people. So talk back at him. Insult him. We will protect you. Nothing will happen. This is the ethos of the NDC. So instead of coming to sack Mary Awusi, she's there. And they are crying. Why are you crying over a subordinate? A subordinate. They're crying. They won't sack them. They're crying. Listen to J.J. Rawlings describing the babies with sharp teeth. Listen to him.
People don't waste their time on too many insults. Our mouths like acid.
Sorry, the sound is a bit muffled. But J.J. Rawlings is saying that babies with sharp teeth. So this is what has happened in NDC. This is what has happened.